We're standing in front of our space in beautiful East Garfield Park in Chicago, Illinois. Firebird Community Arts is a nonprofit glass studio and community center. We do glass blowing and ceramics and glass fusing and flame working, and we do a lot of youth programming. We're also open for the public to come in and make their artwork. We started off in a really, really tiny space on Roosevelt Road. It was an old firehouse, which was super cool, but we outgrew it really fast. So we moved into this space in 2018. It was basically just like a raw warehouse with nothing in it. We ran all the gas lines, we ran the electrical. We brought a lot of the equipment over from our old space and we built a lot of the equipment here. And we'll show you in a minute, but we built all the rooms and all the shelves and everything that's in here. So totally customized from a blank square. Project Fire is Firebird's flagship glassblowing program. FIRE stands for Fearless Initiative for Recovery and Empowerment. And it's a glassblowing program specifically for young people who've been impacted by community violence. And it's a trauma recovery program and an employment program. We founded Project Fire in 2014, and it was myself as a glassblower and Dr. Brad Stolbach, who's a clinical psychologist who specializes in child trauma. And we combined forces to create a program that would address trauma as well as art making and employment.
This season, GEEX Talks will feature segments on artwork, personal histories, and direct conversations with the community. This episode begins with a walkthrough of the Firebird Community Arts studios and community spaces, followed by an alum's perspective on Project Fire. The rest of the episode explores the history, development, and creation of a public art project commemorating the Chicago Race Riot of 1919.
Well, you can create whatever you put your mind to. When I first got in, I used to make a lot of stuff like cookie jars, ghosts. I made hearts with nails in them. I mainly make like wavy bowls and big vases and stuff like that. You can really just make whatever you put your mind to. One of the students made a Chester Cheeto. Yeah, pretty hot enough. Load that up though. Once you come up out of there, put your glass on the pipe, then you come right here to the bench. And then these are the tools that you work with to shake your glass. So 3 benches, so 3 people can work. That bench right there, actually for me to get up inside with my chest. Yeah. But these right here, the glory hole, where you reheat your glass. So as it gets cold, you gotta go back in there, bring it back to temperature so you can play with it again. This way you shake the tip of your glass. So when you're making your bubbles, blowing it out, it don't get too thin. You can keep it thick down there. Right here, these where we put the color in, the fret. Got all types of colors. Nice. But the little pans that I just showed you, that's where we put the fret in, pour it in up, then you dip the glass in up, right on the marble. Yeah. Going by, take a look. This is where we sit our hot glass in, so we can break it down, cool it down nice and slow. Cool it down too fast, it might crack.
My name is Nene. I do a lot of more like a flame working. This is our flame working station, sculpting tools and stuff like that. These are safety glasses. We always make sure people have on those. This is the oxygen tank, propane tank over here. These are more tools over here on this wall as well. This is our chem. We have 2 chems actually. One is right here. Ooh, kind of hot still, so I ain't gonna touch that. This is some of my work right there that I do on the flame station. Hannah is the head of the production team, but I'm a part of it. We do like different type of commissions like wine toppers, cups, bud bottles, plant buddies. We do actually do awards and stuff. Like I just went to a award ceremony for this award right here that we just made for someone. Me and Hannah went to a ceremony. We made this award for, I think that's called the Chicago Neighborhood Awards. We make ornaments as well, like any seasonal stuff. We do that as well.
I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the cold shop. Right here, you got the grinder, you got the lathe, and you got the saw, and you got the belt right here. Basically, these is all to help you like mess with your glass, like change the shape of it, fix it, cut it, whatever you need. This is where you go to get it. Like right here on the grinding wheel, you come right here like you got cups or something, maybe like a juice bottle or something like that. You can cold work it, like if your piece still got like glass on it that you don't want, excess glass, you can take it right here and you can grind it. You know? And right here, these is all the pieces of like that need to be cold work, that still need work done on it. We can come over here to the clay. And right here, this is what we make the clay at. 8 people can make clay at once. Well, 7, including teacher. This is what the stuff you make at for clay, and you got our stuff right here for clay too. Here go one of my pieces that I made right here. It's hard. It still needs to be dropped in a kiln. This where you go to drop all your pieces in the kiln, like that you make out of what's the name? Yeah. Okay, this right here is like the lunchroom / like classroom. Like this where we come to do self, right? This where we come like we need some need to talk, like stuff like that. Basically, you come back here, you need a snack or anything. You want to take a break, you can come get on the computer and just chill. We really do group in here. It'd be like 4, 5, 6 of us in here. These is like the questions they be asking us how we feeling. We all just take time. We come in here, take time, talk, get to know each other, spend time with each other, you know, grow a bond with each other like family, because, you know, we try to make this place a safe space for each other.
I'm Raymond Gordon, alumni of the illustrious Project Fire program. I started in the years of July 2017. I was 17 years old, and now I'm 24. Throughout this program, I gained so much more than knowledge. I learned how to apply the code of ethics in my everyday life, and it became more than just professional guidance. I use it like a personal roadmap. And learning the importance of dignity, service, and integrity helped me through one of the darkest points of my life, which was surviving gun violence. I was in a place of deep depression, trying to find meaning and direction, I'll say. What this program did was give me the tools and, more importantly, the belief that I really needed, and that turned my pain into purpose. I began to seeing that my experiences weren't just challenges to overcome, but there was the stories that I could use to help others to heal. And today, I'm a case manager with Beds Plus, where I work with people experience homelessness, mental health crisis, and justice involvement. A lot of people not educated on like what social work is, but once you get an idea of something, you start to do your research on it, you then learn about it. When I was away from Project Fire and I was home, I was still thinking about them and instilling the things in them. I was like, how are they making me feel better? And I am not even around them. And so that's what made me come back and ask them, like, okay, what is it you guys do? They told me social work. I said, oh, okay. So I think I can pursue and do that. They said you definitely can, Raymond. So that's how I started to do that. And then I started to notice, like, oh, this is social work. I don't even feel like I'm doing work. I'm just naturally being me. I've also mentored through Project Fire and alongside my peers, using like trauma-informed peer support and glass blowing to promote healing, which is a very unique way I never thought that could happen. But man, ways are impeccable. And on top of that, to coat everything off, like icing on the cake, not to toot my own horn, I'm pursuing my master's in social work at Governor State University. And I have plans to graduate in 2026. And my goal is to become even more equipped to serve communities that look like me. Communities that are often overlooked and underserved. Since I graduated in 2019 with my bachelor's degree, I've been working in my field for 2 years, and I noticed like that it enhanced my drive to actually support and help the communities and things like that. So I was like, okay, I want to go back to school to further my education and get more
get more accolades and achievements of things I can be more deeper in my field, so understand and help underserved communities. So again, thank you to the people who believed in me and helped me find this path. I'm walking in it just not for myself, but those still trying to find a light. And like our saying says, bro, help us keep the fire burning. Once a project fire member, always a project fire member.
We do art making as a way to heal. So glass blowing, ceramics, all different types of working with glass. And we were tapped to be a part of this public art project. There's a group here in Chicago that formed a nonprofit to commemorate people that were lost during the Chicago Race Riot of 1919. So Dr. Peter Cole is a historian. He's a professor at Illinois Western University. And Dr. Franklin Cozy-Gay, who's also a board member for Firebird, but he is the director at the Violence Recovery Program here in Chicago at University of Chicago Medicine. And the two of them teamed up to call attention to the Chicago Race Riot of 1919. They've been doing workshops to let Chicagoans know about this event and how it's relevant to what's going on today. So they've been doing bike rides, historical bike rides, taking people to different locations. They've put together writings for schools, and they had the idea for creating a monument.
So in 1919, it was a very hot Sunday afternoon in late July, July 27th, when a group of boys went swimming in Lake Michigan. The law suggested that people, including Black people, had equal rights, but the customs were very clear. And that was Black people could only go to one beach, right? They only were able to sort of go to 26th Street Beach. Of course, they're in the water. They drift, right? They're on a raft. And as they drifted southward, they drifted across a so-called White Beach. And so when these children crossed an invisible line in the waters of Lake Michigan, and suddenly we're in a so-called white part of Lake Michigan, and when a white man on the beach started throwing rocks at these kids, they didn't really think of this as a big deal. They just thought they were swimming and having a good time. Unfortunately, this white man kept throwing rocks at these children, and ultimately a 17-year-old Black man named Eugene Williams was killed. That is the spark. That is the beginning of the Chicago Race Riot. As tragic as the killing of one person is, most killings don't result in a sort of an explosion of violence, but that's what happened actually in Chicago. There's much deeper roots that help us understand both his killing as well as the killing of dozens of other people. Honestly, Chicago's Black population in this era was very small. Before World War I, around 1910, there was about 40,000 Black people in the city of Chicago out of a population of 2 million. Under 2% of the population. Because of the war shortage in World War I and because of Black desire to flee the Jim Crow South, they moved to Chicago in growing numbers in 1915, 1916, and so on. So the Black population of the city doubled in a short period of time. In a city of over 2.5 million, there was only 3.7% of Chicago's population being of African descent. So a small but growing number. Nevertheless, that was the root cause, right, of what was going on. There were seething tensions across the city. Many white Chicagoans were very distraught at the growing Black population who increasingly concentrated in the neighborhood called the Black Belt. As Black people start moving into the Black Belt, they start to actually gain some power, economic power, political power. They play an important role in the 1919 mayor's race, but they also experience this backlash. Always the backlash. More Black people start exploring residential options in other neighborhoods to find higher quality, lower priced housing. But when they do so, they experience violence. 27 Black homes bombed in the 2 years prior to the events of 1919. Another 21 bombed in the 2 years after. 58 Black businesses or homes bombed. Not a single bomber brought to justice. Not a single bomber. And so this is the city. This is before Eugene Williams is killed, right, that we understand.
As Peter described earlier, it's actually the seething tension was a result of the lack of justice. Eugene Williams was drowned based off of the description that Peter provided, Officer Daniel Callahan refusing to arrest Stauber, as well as really having no regrets about it. Again, consistent with the seething tension regarding the lack of justice, that night rumors spread regarding Blacks attacking whites. And so essentially gangs of white boys and men invaded what was then called the Black Belt and started to attack innocent Black people. Fueled by rumors and poor relations with police officers who were tasked with keeping the calm, they fueled the rage by essentially creating a cordon around the Black Belt So essentially, most of the violence happened within the first 3 days. 28 of those 38 were killed during the first 3 days. 23 of them were Black, 15 of them were white. There were 537 people injured. 2/3 of those victims were Black. There were 229 people who were arrested. Again, 2/3 of those were Black. The irony, 2/3 victims, however, 2/3 arrested were Black. We consider this story an origin story on how Chicago became segregated, and essentially an origin story on how Chicago became two Chicagos. The distress that we see in communities that have inequitable distribution of resources, whether it's related to housing, education, economically, also justice, this didn't happen overnight. We believe that omission never leads to healing. We think that acknowledgement must involve recognition of painful histories, and that acknowledgement can begin the long path towards healing by admitting the harms, the social, economic, and political impact of those harms. And this acknowledgement can help towards atonement and begin to set a path for policy level changes to address equity gaps as a result of these harms. And again, we believe that the Chicago Race Riots serve as an origin story for why Chicago looks the way that it does today. And we believe that although it's a difficult history, we believe it's important to recognize the impact that that history has and the way we live with that history today.
100 years later, we recreated an experience for us to portray joy, to portray friendship, and to share with and remember Eugene Williams with our loved ones.
I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been like back to the beach in a long time. So that day, it felt good to be out, like, and to be in the community, just learning new things like about your city, because a lot of people don't know like about the race riots that happened.
We invited our families, we invited all participants in our program, in our Project Fire program, to come and join us. So we provided goggles, we provided swimwear.
This just explains it all, like being able to be in your city, everybody just living good, they enjoying the breezes, people that's making music over there, got people dancing in the background. It's just being able to be out in that day, just show you how much a lot changed too. Because as you can see, not everybody was able to do that. A lot of people actually lost their life just trying to have fun or just trying to do what some people would just normally do in their everyday life, just be senseless. When I be going like downtown or be going to places, like I be seeing like a lot of stuff like that, but I don't really like take out the time to like read. You will overlook like a lot of things. Like I didn't know that this piece meant that. It just opened my eyes to a lot of things that's like around the city. Cause this is something that you could walk past every day, but you stop and you look back at the story, you will see that it's really deep. That's a picture of me when I was at the beach. Just I don't know, I felt like I was like a little model or something. Like I don't really be able to get out to the beach because there's so much going on in Chicago. So that day it was just definitely a day that I could remember. The last time we was out, I went on a bike ride, and then we went and stopped and went on all the places, like all the stops. It's just a lot of things that a lot of people don't see when you just don't go out the neighborhood. And it's just a lot of things out there, a lot of good things in the city that you can just ride to, like just on a simple bike ride.
I am going to share a little bit about a collaboration that I did with our young people in our program, Project Fire, along with other teachers and trauma intervention specialists that were in the space when we were creating this poem. I was also very inspired with this poem, I Am Joaquin. It's by Rodolfo Corti Gonzalez, who is a part of the Chicano movement. And during this time in our history, there were Black and Brown communities that were trying to create curriculum that felt it represented their own ethnicity and identity. And so I Am Joaquin goes through, this really beautiful context of history, of identity exploration, of being the oppressed and the oppressee. And so hearing this poem and sharing this poem out loud with our young people was also part of that process. It's a 9-page poem, so it dives into a lot of context and history. This inspired me to do an activity with our participants to think of themselves, this person that they want to share their narrative about. And so we did that with, lots of paper and also like stillness. We sat down and we had moments to like disperse throughout the space. This is an example of one. I am Jaquan, I am accountable, I am Black, I am going to be successful, I am a brother, I am a son, I am understanding, I am who I am a hoper at heart, and I am kind-hearted. I then asked each participant to select one line from the poem that they wrote. Through these workshops, I created one big poem with the collaboration of other artists in the space. We were able to create this poem on this piece here. I am Eugene, born in Georgia, raised in Chicago, swimming on a hot summer day on Lake Michigan. I am the color of my skin. I am my ancestors. I am independent. I am mother. I'm a walking testimony. I am an entrepreneur. I am happy. I am a genuine person. I am a friend and an artist. I am alone with my thoughts. I was birthed from water. I am a blessed and intelligent young man. I am a golden child. I am a brother. I am understanding and I am who I am. I am a son. I am a brother. I am an artist. I am full of wonder. I am who I surround myself with. I am searching. I am Eugene Williams. And that is the poem that we created together, and it was a powerful day for people to be able to reclaim, something that was taken from them, and also to imagine like that could be, me having joy, me having fun at the beach. I am taking this opportunity to share what and manifest and say out loud what I want to become and what I already am. The poem was written in 2022. It's still a poem that we talk about in regards to like, remember that, right? Referencing that for our young people. Part of the process of exploring the beach and also thinking about Eugene Williams and the project that we're working on with monuments and remembrance are these fused bricks as well.
So one of the first things that we started with is to source images to put onto our bricks. So these are a combination of images from historical references, like this is the Union Stockyards, some images from our beach day, which we either took photographs of and manipulated in Photoshop, or we took pictures and we drew our own interpretations. There's neighborhoods where some of the killings had taken place.
When you look in the bricks, it's more than one image in there. So we have an image like representing the person who passed away, what they was doing, if they was just trying to get home or make it to somewhere safe, or just trying to be around their family in the time that they was injured or got hurt, something that they stood for so they could just be remembered, not only for the tragedy that happened, but something good too.
So we sourced all of these different images that Darshana is showing you. And Darshana, that's your image from the beach day, I believe, right? Yes, it was a fantastic image of like Darshana flinging her hair back in the water. So we took those images, we manipulated them in Photoshop and Illustrator, and then we printed them on transparencies. And then from the transparency, we were able to burn a screen. And so we would have an image on a screen. Actually, Darshana, can you find the one with Dora? Will you hand that one over real quick? Because I think that's the one that's here. So like we would take this transparency, we would use it to burn the screen, and we've got our screen printing setup over here. And then we can take a screen and actually screen an image onto glass with a high fire enamel paint, which Devontae's mixing up right now.
It's satisfying for sure.
It sure is. It's such a, right, isn't it? So this process is just like traditional screen printing, but we'll use enamel paint that can get fused onto the glass. So making this these bricks is a multi-stage process. I mean,
It's a lot.
it's a lot of steps, and this is just the glass portion of it. We're gonna do one screen here, so, and then you're gonna flood the screen. So remember, like, start from the top and go all the way down. So we're gonna flood the screen. Beautiful. Okay, go ahead. Boom, that's it. And then just scoop that up. Perfect. And voila!
Nice for a demonstration.
Is that nice for a demonstration?
It's still nice.
It is still nice. We've got a couple images here that are just single layers right now. There goes Devontae right there. And then some of the like backgrounds, and Jacob's gonna talk a little bit more about that in a second.
Okay, right here, this the backgrounds. This how you make the backgrounds. This the powder for the background, and I'm gonna show you how you do it. So you just take some powder like this, and you go on to it. You just sprinkle it.
Yeah, like that though.
Here we take single layers. We take these single layers of different backgrounds and different pictures, and we put them together and we fuse them, put them in a kiln to make a block. This is my brick. This is my picture in here. Okay, now William Dozier, he worked at the Union Stockyard, and my picture was basically placed here because I am the future. And he was born in 1872 and died in 1919. And we basically take these different pictures and backgrounds and decide which one we want to use. Stainless steel. We use this and we put it in the concrete because usually you can't see through glass, so we put the stainless steel here. So when you look down, the light will reflect and you will see straight through the glass when it's in the concrete.
In the process of creating the bricks that are fused together, we then create this concrete platform so the bricks can lay in. We decided to embed the poem I Am Eugene Williams into the concrete so we can distribute that same language and that same poem throughout the city. Each concrete piece has a different parts of the poem throughout. So together, they will create the entire poem, I Am Eugene Williams. The idea was to create the poem, disperse it throughout the city, which includes a lot of our participants.
I'm going to give you one example of a public art project that is very much the inspiration of our project. In the mid-1990s, a German man named Gunter Demnig, who was an artist, installed 20 small markers outside of the last known residences of Holocaust victims in his home of Berlin. Right? He dug up some stones, he replaced them with these small brass plaques, and each of them basically says, here lived David Cohen, born 1899, murdered Auschwitz 1944. And you're walking down the street, and then you stumble across, that's the translation for this German term Stolpersteine. You stumble across a reminder, or perhaps for the first time you learn that something happened right here. What was 20 is now over 80,000 and thousands more being installed every year in dozens of countries across Europe. Is testament, right, to the power of these small public art dispersed markers that can sort of raise awareness in a way that we believe is very much possible here in our country and our city. First, we acknowledge the past, that the only way to achieve racial justice as well as equality and equity is by acknowledging what has happened, and that what has happened is in fact shapes what is happening today, right? In other words, there is no past and present. The past and the present are one.
That's when we first put the bricks down up in the ground. That was a proud moment for me when I saw that. I really, like I got a Hollywood star or something like. And when I be looking at that, it's like I could bring my family members and walk past that like 30 years from now and then look at it in the ground like, who that is right there? And see, that's me. Making art that's for the city, making real memorials that's going to be there.
We're telling a story about history, but all history is a current event. And so there's a thread regarding the lack of justice that's definitely been highlighted in our narrative over the past year. But it's also, what are we doing to provide safe creative outlets to support the recovery and healing? And that's exactly what Firebird Community Arts is doing through Project Fire. Where would Eugene Williams be if he weren't killed that day? We want to tell that story, but we also want to recognize the thread between 100 years ago and today. We described how Bronzeville was shaped at the time called the Black Belt, but it's important for us to also recognize the many positive institutions. Earlier described the Ida B. Wells, first African-American woman, had a street named after her, recognizing that her home sits between 36th and 37th on King Drive, recognizing that that's right down the street from Victory Monument, recognizing that around the corner is the brick and mortar location of the Chicago Defender, which just happens to be about a block down the street from where that 6-year-old died from a house bombing. There are signs that there's civic readiness to acknowledge and discuss and learn about the impact of the 1919 race riots. And we believe that the work that we're doing provides an opportunity to educate those through public art, particularly those that might not be intending to be educated, which is the power of public art.
Hola, Project Fire. My name is Josefina Muñoz Torres, and I'm a multidisciplinary visual artist specializing in glass based in Santiago, Chile. Since learning about your involvement in the creation of a memorial for the Chicago Race Riots of 1919, I've been really thinking about the challenges behind the conceptualization and creation of a memorial itself. I mean, how do you commemorate and honor people that you don't personally know? In that sense, could you tell us a little bit about the process that you went through as a team to learn about the 38 people for whom you're creating each of the markers? And also, could you refer to the particular elements in the artwork that you created that keep alive the memory of those that you're honoring? Thank you very much, and congratulations on this really beautiful project.
Thank you, Josefina, for your questions. I feel like I'm just helping keep a legacy going. It's really from the heart, like, because the stories are sad. So it's like, I don't see nothing wrong with getting that story out there so everyone can know.
I feel like I don't see no problem with helping somebody I ain't know strength off the history, what happened in the past and the crazy stories that the people went through. I feel like it's an honor to be able to make memorials for these people and like represent these people and put it more out there.
The reason why I can help people is because it's good people out there that can help me. So and I don't want to let our history die out.
I read a little story about a guy that worked at the Palmer House, and I didn't really know the Palmer House was like, it was fancy inside, and so I knew it was some kind of popular hotel, but I didn't know it had so much history to it though.
I think it was Paul Hardwick, and so we had very little bits of history about all the people, and when we were reading about Paul Hardwick, we realized that he was going to work or coming from work at the Palmer House when he was killed.
Yeah, that was crazy. We had an art sale there, nice art sale.
The reason why I connect so much with my brick is because that boy that died that day could have been me. Cause like I'm like one of them type of people that don't be paying attention to every little thing all the time. So that's why I connect, because he lost his life from an accident without even knowing what was really going on. And that just shows you like life can be hard. Like a lot of the stuff that was happening to him, I could relate to. Like a lot of that stuff them kids had to go through and experiences as a child, I went through as a child myself, like having to go like see stuff, had people coming after me and stuff. I know the feeling, so I can connect through that way.
So we had some history about the people that ended up in the bricks, but we didn't have any images of them. Since we were doing pieces with images, not a lot of words, but trying to tell a story through the images that we had and convey a feeling, we had to like be really creative in how we chose those images. So the way that we chose images was based on the histories that we had, but then also kind of pairing them with the folks that were working on these pieces, because a lot of them were 18 years old when they were killed, or 16 years old, just like a lot of the folks in our stories, right? And then even though we didn't have pictures of them themselves, we felt like putting the images of the artists that actually worked on these pieces on the bricks. It commemorated them and honored them as like people that, as Jacob said, like who are living now, but have maybe had same experiences, like, or like, you know, the similar feelings, you know, these
like, and And another thing is like the racism, it ain't as bad as it used to be, but it didn't never stop. Like you still, like, by me being how I am, like I still get judged. So when I hear about stuff like that, it really touched me deep, because me being like the way I am, the way I dress, my dreads, they look at me as like how they look at every other black kid. Like, oh, he just gonna be doing what they do. Like people clutching their purse around me, all of that. Like, it's a word for it, systemic racism, right? Yeah, a lot of systemic racism still go on. You can't escape it. And it's just like, it never ends. So, you just got to keep on going. You got to keep the history going. You can't let it die, because they trying to wipe our history out. They trying to sweep it under the rug like it didn't happen, but it happened. And then they trying to cover it up like it's just cool, but it ain't cool. And we here to show y'all that it ain't cool, and we gonna represent my people.
What's up? Thank you all for coming and checking out Firebird Community Arts and the artists of Project Fire. It was wonderful showing you around our space. We'd like to give a very warm thank you to the GEEX crew. Y'all have been amazing.
For sure.
Thank you for watching.
Thank y'all so much for coming by too.
We're super excited to share our stories, and thank you for putting it together and helping us do that. We also want to shout out the CR19 crew. Without them, we would never be working on this project, and so we're super grateful to be a part of it and to be able to call some attention to this event that happened in our city's history, and also to celebrate the artists that are working today to make a difference for our future. Come to visit us in Chicago at Firebird Community Arts. Come blow some glass with us. Come make some clay with us.
And go check them bricks out too. Go check them bricks out. They gonna be downtown in the flow. Go check them bricks out now. Shout out to the Geek Squad again.
Yeah.
And who else?
I would love to shout out Trice Construction Company as well.
Yes.
They're installing them in the city. Incredible construction company here in Chicago.
Organic Oneness.
Organic Oneness.
And DCASE, the Mellon Foundation, all the folks that funded this, Corning Museum of Glass, Susie Silbert, actually, by name, and
I thank the program for giving us this opportunity.
rock and
Same.
roll.
I thank the program for giving us this opportunity, and thank you for watching.
And I thank everyone here for being who they are and how wonderful they are. Thank you guys for being here.
Thanks for joining. If you enjoyed this lecture, check out previous GEEX Talks episodes featuring Better Together, Vanessa German, and Victoria Amadizada Melendez, exclusively available for subscribers in the GEEX Talks archive. The GEEX Talks lecture series features artists and researchers nominated by a community of glass educators, artists, and learners. For anyone seeking their path in this field, GEEX offers you a record of predominantly BIPOC and queer fine artists, craftspeople, scientists, historians, designers, community organizers, and more, working with glass in traditional and unconventional ways. At its essence, GEEX is a grassroots project which has been bootstrapped together by a community that believes in the importance of this effort. Accordingly, GEEX relies on subscriptions, partnerships, and donations to make our public programming possible. GEEX Talk subscriptions are available to institutions like colleges and universities, and individuals outside of academia, whether graduated, self-taught, or curious about glass. You can subscribe or donate to GEEX by visiting geeks.glass/support. Speaker honorariums are drawn from subscribers and supporters. Many thanks to institutional subscribers for believing in the GEEX Talks project. Support for GEEX comes from viewers like you and makes all of GEEX programs and resources possible, including the GEEX Writing Center, BIPOC Community Table, Flame Affinity Group, and GEEX Educators Group. Thanks as well to our organizational partners. Organizational partnerships are intended for craft schools, glass schools, museums, cultural institutions, art service organizations, and really all organizations interested in enriching their resources outside the bounds of their walls. This season of GEEX Talks, specifically the GEEX Shorts format, has been supported by the Wisconsin Special Projects Grant from Ruth Foundation for the Arts. The Wisconsin Special Projects Grant aims to build a robust and equitable arts ecosystem by investing in initiatives that rethink and reimagine past practices, bring an expansive range of voices into public and artistic discourse, and contribute to a more complex and abundant understanding of the histories, lived experiences, and futures of this region. GEEX is based in Madison, Wisconsin, the birthplace of American studio glass. With the support from Ruth Foundation for the Arts, GEEX reconnects Wisconsin's glass history by revitalizing the narratives that define the field in a rapidly changing market, academic, and professional landscape. You can follow GEEX on social media at GeeksGlass on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more about upcoming programs and events. Many thanks to Raymond Gordon, Linquel L.A. Biggs, Trevelli Jones, Deontay Beasley Holman, Devontae Harper, Jacob Tate, Brian Sanner, Antoine Nene McGee, Darshanae Collins, Hannah Dorn, Karina Yepes, Pearl Dick, and everyone at Project Fire who's contributed to this project. Thanks as well to Dr. Peter Cole and Dr. Franklin Cozy-Gay for allowing us to include material from the Chicago Race Riot of 1919 Commemoration Project's YouTube channel. If you'd like to learn more about CRR19, we encourage you to check out their website. Thanks to Josefina Muñoz Torres for participating in the Q&A. And finally, many thanks to our videographer, Noah Gilfillan, from Audio for the Arts. This episode marks a significant milestone for GEEX. With the support of the Ruth Arts Wisconsin Special Projects Grant, the GEEX team could conceive of an in-person documentary-style project and actually make it happen. This episode represents the many voices of Project Fire as it stands today, and we're proud to offer this record for future learning and precedent building in the field of class. Thanks for listening, sharing, and supporting GEEX Talks. Stay tuned.